Hello, hello. One Too Many here, and I'm going to be trying to go over a future patch update that's going to be coming to Marine Arena. It looks like this is pretty much complete, so I'm not sure what Ash is waiting on, whether he's trying to do some bug fixes, which would be nice, or if he's just going to eventually implement this as is. Either way, I would expect this to be coming within the next week or so. It's been pretty long since the last update, so it would be nice to see another update. Basically, what's going to be happening here is we're going to redo the counter system. And now before, what the counter system was is it was a hard counter system, and that was basically all it was. For example, the Marauder would hard counter bio, the Destroyer would hard counter mech, and that's just the way that it worked. And the issue that we really were running into is there were tons of bio units, and there weren't as many mechs. So you'd have a better chance of going Marauder and doing well, opposed to going Destroyer and doing well. And that was an issue because you just see more Marauders in every game than you see Destroyers, and it just becomes this bland kind of remix of things that just is the same thing over and over again. So what we're trying to do is level the playing field as far as the attributes and counters go. So there's going to be an equal number of attributes and an equal number of counters to each other. And what this is going to do is allow you to really kind of pick which merc you want, but also you're going to have to really pay attention to what other people on the field are going, because hard counters are going to be just that, hard counters. For example, the Marauder is going to have a 40% damage bonus. It gets 20% for light, 20% to psionic. It's going to have a 40% damage bonus to sniper, which is light and psionic. And not only that, but it's also going to scale better. In the past, the way that the damage bonuses worked is the Marauder would just get a flat bonus in the beginning to bio, and as the game went on, its upgrades didn't actually increase at any better rate towards bio. It was getting the flat thing, so whatever advantage it had over bio, it just stayed that way the whole game. Now, the bonuses are actually going to increase with upgrades. So the Marauder is going to be good against sniper early game, and he's going to be awesome against sniper late game. So if you win sniper and you see Marauders, you're going to want to avoid them or just change your merc entirely once it comes down to maybe like a 2v2 situation. Another really cool thing that we're doing in this update is we are removing attribute tags from melee. Before, melee had 2 tags or more at times, and now we're going to cut that down to 1. And what this is going to do is reduce the amount of counters towards melee. The reason we're doing this is because we kind of feel like melee has its own disadvantages just being melee. It can't put out as much damage as the range because it just can't stack as well. It's always just one line of DPS opposed to an area of DPS that comes from the ranged units. Actually, and the funny thing is I'm pretty sure that what's going to come out of this is a lot of the melee are going to be overpowered come this next patch. So if you haven't played a lot of melee, or you just think range is the way to go, I would strongly advise you to try some melee after this next patch, because it's probably going to be a pretty good thing. I mean, just in the fact that all the melee aren't going to be bio anymore, and Marauder isn't going to just flat rate face is going to be really nice. Another big change that's coming is increased cost of Tier 3. Tier 3 is going to see a 30% increase in the cost from 1,000 to 1,300. This is basically just because to kind of put more emphasis on timing of getting certain things and just the general buff stats that the Tier 3 have. The increased cost is probably going to put them more at what they should be. For a unit like Reaver, though, although I increased the cost, I also increased the armor. And what that does is kind of negate the increased cost, because Reaver was really good where it was. I felt it was a solid merc sometimes, and it did its part, which is what it should be. And so I kind of increased its defense to go along with that price increase, just to keep everything similar. A really big update is the training upgrades. And that is because now they're all going to be viable. There isn't going to be the situation where you're not sure whether you should get a training upgrade or not. It's just always going to be, alright, I got my merc, I got my double spawn, now I need to get these training upgrades, otherwise my mercs are going to fall behind. Or maybe you want to get your training upgrades earlier than you even get your double merc spawn, which is actually going to be a cool aspect to see how that works out. Now for melee, this is going to mean an increase in damage or increase in health with these upgrades, but for range, it's going to actually mean that's how they get some of the range. Marauder, for example, is only going to start with 5.1 range opposed to 6, and the way it's going to get back to 6 is by actually getting its training upgrades. So those are going to be very important for ranged units in particular. And let's see, what is the last few things I wanted to cover here? One really weird thing, I'm not sure if this is actually how it's going to work out. Where did it go? Crackling. originally this was posted to be 50% chance to avoid cleave, which would make sense. So the crackling would avoid cleave and the tankling would avoid splash. But it's showing here that it's a 50% chance to avoid splash. I'm not sure if this is actually how Ash put it in the game or not, but it would probably be a really cool change. I say cool, and by cool I mean overpowered change for crackling. So we'll see how that works out, or if he actually did put it in as cleave. So there's that, and then what else? We see some bounty increases for the Zealots. They're going from 6 bounty to 9 bounty, which is a pretty big increase, but it's probably more where they should be at, and they're seeing some buffs to go along with that. Temple Zealot's going to actually do damage. Let's see, what was another one? Brutalisk is going to see hopefully some play in this next patch. He's going to get his spawn time reduced by 1 second and his bounty decreased by 4, so it's not going to be like a feed fest every time someone goes Brutalisk where you just get 18 bounty every single time somebody kills you, one of your Brutalisks. And then Beetle is also going to see a pretty big update in its damage per upgrade. All around, some of the damage per upgrades went up just to kind of coincide with what they should have been opposed to what they were. And then other than that, it's just basic balancing that has to do with the normalization of the counter system. Let's see, I would like to see the Marines kind of lose their tags. That wasn't something that I saw here, but we'll have to see how that plays out. And the reason behind that is because everyone has Marines, so if you have a unit that's good against light or bio, you're just going to have this huge advantage over other mercs that don't have that. But it looks like that's not changing for now, so I'll pay attention to that and see if it does get anything. But other than that, that's basically this whole update. In the future, I hope to do more videos on actual strategies and stuff. I'm really just waiting for this update to start doing strategy videos, just because there's no point if the entire strategy of the game is going to change next update. So I hope you guys like this. Let me know in the comments below.